Okay, I have started the recording. Since Jackie will not be joining us, we're going to go ahead with what we have right now. I have designed this to be drop-in, drop-out friendly, so we shouldn't have any problems with that. Alrighty. If we remember from last week, the children did some adventuring in the woods. It's very fun. Made a unlikely friend in the form of a wood troll. We're going to put some big air quotes around friend, as it mostly just growled at you. But you drove off a wolf that was hunting it, so that was great. And then, probably more relevant to what's going on today, is that the children then spent a day in town having a hearty meal at Grammy's Inn and meeting the various town folk, several of which have offered to let the children do some odd jobs in exchange for some pocket money around town. And so today we begin early in the morning, well before the sun has risen. There is a knocking at the door. The kids are all still in bed, so but you wake up hearing the knocking and hearing Miss Maybell opening the door, where the two young adult children of the fishermen are there. And they have some news for Miss Maybell. Everyone who chooses to listen in on it hears the exchange that the kids tell her that the tides are strange today. So their father sent them to let her know that if any of the kids are going to come help out on the boat today, they will not be setting sail. It's mostly just going to be loading and unloading. And maybe doing some repairs or taking some trips into town to get supplies. So it won't be exciting sailing on the sea. And knowing that that's what they were looking forward to, he just wanted to let them know that that won't be happening today. They themselves then tell Miss Maybell that they're going to head down to the beach, which she says, if the tides are strange, that's a terrible idea. You shouldn't do that. But they chide her and say, we're not kids anymore. It does look like maybe they grew up together. Although Miss Maybell is just a little bit older than they are. She is slightly more adult, whereas they're still hovering on the border. Yeah, they proceed just like, they don't even get on the road. They just go straight through the backyard of the orphanage and hop down the cliff and disappear towards the sound of crashing waves. So, were any of the kids actually planning, and I know the answer is yes for some of them, but I just want to get sort of a list, were any of them planning on going out with the fishermen today?
Araxie absolutely was, is now currently moping about on the verge of tears.
Okay. So any others other than Araxie?
I mean, if they're going on a boat, then Shari will go.
Alright, so those kids were probably up early because the fishermen would have warned you. You need to be up before the sun to make it onto the boat. So you hear the news. Ms. Maybell says, you're still welcome to go, but they're not going to be sailing. But you also hear that the tides are strange, which does sound interesting. And so, for today's mischief, 5 of the children will be sneaking off to go see what these strange tides are down at the beach. And the rest...
Regarding the fisherman adventure, is that, are there two characters that aren't adventuring be doing chores like that?
Right. So you can still have a character go and do chores with the fishermen. they won't be sailing, so but all of the other chore functions apply. You can still level up. You'll still earn your pocket money. But the tides are strange, so you won't be actually getting fish from the ocean.
Got it. Yeah. And will we be able to choose others other than the fishermen to help?
Yes.
Or do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of them are available for today. We're dealing with the fishermen first because the fishermen set sail before the sunrise in order to get the catch for the day.
Got it. Yeah, Zara is going to go with the fishermen then.
Okay. So let's get a count on the activity log here. I'm just going to go through each of the... first, I'm going to go through each of the ones that are going to do mischief, and then we'll go back and get what each of your non-mischief characters are going to be doing. So let's start with Ed. Which of your 3 characters is going to be going sneaking off to go adventure on the beach instead of doing chores?
Shari.
Excellent. Let's see, Jackie is not doing anything today, which means Kristen.
By process of elimination, since Jackie's not here, I'm not going to choose one of the triplets. And so I'll go with Henri, since Zara already had an adventure last time.
Okay. Tice. Oh, it looks like you've already put in your answer. So, Tice, you said Glup is going to go down to the beach?
Yep.
All right. Troy, which of your characters will be going down to the beach?
Where should Mina go? Yeah, Mina will go.
And Vivian.
It'll be Araxie.
Okay. Since she can't sail on a boat, right?
Yeah. And also, again, I don't want to bring out the triplets until we have all 3 for at least the first one.
That makes sense. Okay, so going back, Ed, I presume since your other characters... Well, actually, no. Mari does have, like, probably 2 tacks left. So it's up to you. You can decide if they're going to play or if they're going to go do chores. And if they are doing chores, you can decide which of the village NPCs they're going to do chores for. We have the list, but I'll go through the list real quick. So you can do chores here for Miss Maybell. She doesn't pay out any pocket money, but that enables you to level up primary attributes, as well as get the talent training from attributes, if you have enough experience points. You can also work for the Oakbrine Inn, which focuses primarily on social skills and talents. You can work for the General Store, which focuses on trade, crime, and general trickery. You can work for the Dairy Farm, which focuses on athletics, labor, and animal taming. You can work for the Smithy, which focuses on more athletics and crafting. Lots of hard work there. You can go do some work with the fisherman. Even though he's not going to set sail, there is still work to do, which can train things like acrobatics and exploration. You can work for the miller, which trains things like engineering and scholarship. You can work for the sheriff, which trains leadership things. And you can work for the herbalist, which trains survival, scholarship kind of stuff. She's like sort of a witchy woman. Also, as an option, you could go try to do chores for the carpenter. He doesn't pay, he doesn't train, he doesn't like any of you, but that might be able to change if enough people do nice things for him.
Alright, well, Mario will go train with the herbalist.
Mars doing which?
He's gonna go train herbalist.
The herbalist. All right.
Yeah.
And Reggie?
Rick, no incentive to do anything. He's gonna go ask the carpenter if he needs any help.
Alrighty. So, let's see. Kristen, you've decided that Francis is going to spend some time with the herbalist and Zara with the fisherman? Am I reading that correctly?
Yep, that's correct.
Excellent. Tice, it looks like Elros will be spending time with the smithy, probably trying to repair that hatchet you got.
Yeah.
And then Kyleel will be joining the carpenter expedition.
Yeah. Also, I have a question. I see in the list of stuff, one of the things says school.
School? Which one?
Yeah, it says mischief, play, rest, chores, school, missing.
Oh, yeah. That's we haven't gotten to that part yet.
Okay.
There is not currently a school for you to attend, but yeah, we're just getting started. Not all options have become available yet. All right, Troy, what would Chrysosar like to be doing?
Sorry, I'm reading through everything again.
No worries. We can come back to you if you want.
So I can start burning experience into stuff that's relevant for that character, right?
Yes. So the sheet shows you what they're willing to train you in, or what they have the ability to train you in.
Yep.
You can train skills up to rank 3, aptitudes up to rank 2 if you're training with Miss Maybell, which so far no one is. And the talent list is what's available for them to teach you. And yeah, that is how experience will be spent as they go and do their thing. And you can take care of that right now or wait until the end of session. It's up to you. Since we've got some time right now while others are deciding what they're doing, it's not a bad plan. Vivian, it looks like, okay. Oh, Nest is going to work around the orphanage. All right,
Yes.
That's in character.
And Walpy, I haven't put this in yet. Walpy is going to go bother the carpenter
Excellent.
while calling Francis a big nerd for going to the herbalist.
Francis is unfazed. I figure since Francis plays as Madala, that the herbalist is the perfect choice.
Walpy is just going to go bother the carpenter until the carpenter drop kicks them. That feels very in character for Walpy.
Alrighty, so going back to Troy, have you had a chance to look through it all? I know that wasn't a lot of time I just gave you.
Let's see. Chrysosar is gonna go to the sheriff. Go help the sheriff. Koffrick. I was going to send Koffrick to the carpenter, but it's feeling a little crowded.
So the carpenter has basically a 20-point challenge to be overcome. Everyone who goes to the carpenter is going to be rolling persuasion plus empathy, with the ability to spend your pocket money once you get some to add pips. to try to overcome the carpenter's dislike. And then that will unlock what the carpenter has. So more children going to the carpenter will unlock that faster, but it does mean that they're not getting pocket money because everybody else gives you pocket money for doing your chores. Only the carpenter and Miss Maybell do not.
You mentioned we give the carpenter pocket money and then they'll
You
eventually...
can. You can give the carpenter pocket money for pips.
What else influences the carpenter?
Yeah, so the carpenter has a 20 dice or a 20 success dislike of you guys right now, but that can be overcome by persistence. But it will be dice rolls to see what your progress is, and so yes, if you buy things from the carpenter, he likes you a little bit more anyway.
Someone going to the carpenter right now would actually die roll to see how much of an impact they have on the carpenter.
Yeah, at the end of session, we'll be doing that. Find out how much progress they made.
All right, I'm gonna do Kafrik to the. It's gonna go hang out at the inn.
Okay, and should I put in that Wampy is going to the carpenter?
Yes.
All right. So we now know what all the good kids are doing. Let's see what the naughty kids are up to. So the sun does eventually rise. For the, I think, one kid that's going to the fisherman anyway, that they have an early breakfast and are off. Everyone else eventually wakes up and settles into a much, much nicer breakfast than what you'd had on the first day, as the larder and the icebox have been restocked from the inn the previous day, and more carts are expected to come today with more supplies and things to help get everything outfitted. Miss Maybell opens up a little trunk that has some extra clothes. So if anyone wants to sort of spruce up their outfits a bit, it's all just random donated stuff. So nothing particularly fancy yet. Just trying to make sure everybody has some different outfits to wear for feeling good about themselves when going out to play and going off to do their chores and things. And then, after breakfast, most of the kids are going to be heading out. Most of the chores are within walking distance. Like, this isn't a huge area. But there are some carts that are going back and forth you can catch a ride on their way out. They're bringing in supplies, and then they're heading back up into town towards the general store and surrounding areas. And so some of the kids are going to be hopping on those carts. For the 5 of you that are sticking around, what is the story? What are you going to tell Miss Maybell you're doing?
So this is our cover story?
Yes, you did overhear her tell her old friends that she thinks if the tides are strange, that it's too dangerous for kids to be going to the beach.
Yeah, so naturally we're going to the beach, but not really going to the beach. Or maybe, yeah.
But there is a strong sort of undercurrent here that if you told her about it, she would say no. Do you ask permission or forgiveness?
definitely think we shouldn't ask for permission.
Perhaps we say that we're going to just be doing some exploration and just follow the river just for a little bit and like do stuff about the river. We won't tell them that we're going to follow the river to the ocean, of course.
All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. If that's what you're going to tell Miss Maybell, then Miss Maybell's response is basically that. It's like, don't go too far. Stay within sight of the roof of the house. Remember, it's the house of the green roof. If you ever get lost, look for the green roof. If you ever can't see the green roof, retrace your steps until you can. Oh, and one more thing she says, and be nice to the cows. She seems to think you're going to be going upriver instead of downriver.
Yeah, they would hurt nobody.
He just starts taking off towards the river.
Glup
Right.
licks one of his eyes and just follows them.
Araxie left like halfway through the conversation with Miss Mabel and was already on their way to the river.
So you all meet up at the river. Do you have a plan as to what you're going to do to play? Just follow it downstream? It's really obvious where the ocean is. Like, you can hear it. There's a downhill to everything.
Yeah.
Easy as the river.
Is the river fast, or is it just like a normal paced river?
So it's somewhere in the like creek or stream kind of description. It's not really fast. It is, I guess it's more than a creek. So it's shallow enough that you can wade across. The water will come up to like your waist, basically. But the currents can be pretty fast in places. This is also your drinking water, so you probably don't actually want to swim in it upstream. The water flows through this sort of engineered bridge that's also a basin that has a well. So they can't actually use a real well here because the groundwater has salt in it. If you go too far down, you're basically getting salt water from the ocean. So instead what they have is a basin that catches and stores a certain amount of the river water as it flows through, so that if the river dries up, there's a backup amount of water you can pull. But mostly you're pulling the fresh flowing water from the river, which then Miss Maybell takes inside and boils. Past that well, there is an actual bridge that is meant for carts to go over it. This bridge is made of stone instead of wood. It's a much older bridge. It's so old that it actually has like actual road dirt over top of it, just from so many carts going over it over the years. And then as the river flows down from that, it flows into the bathhouse, which is like three small bathhouses squished together. But the river water does a similar thing to the basin there. The bathhouse is built on a cliff where the river comes up, and so it kind of acts like a waterfall into the bathhouse so that you can get sort of flowing water going on in there. And then from that, it's gone over the cliff and goes down into an area where there's some trees and not a whole lot of underbrush, but lots of tall grass. Kind of reed-like ocean grass. I don't know how many of you are familiar with like the way saltwater grass looks. It's different. And if you continue your exploration down, you find where the river kind of breaks apart. Flows out into this delta that splashes across the rocks and things into the ocean. And here you get your first view of the ocean proper. And it is not a sandy beach. It is rocks. Mostly big rocks that you can climb up onto, but between them lots of smaller rocks worn smooth by the constant crashing of the waves. And between those smaller rocks, instead of sand, there is a sticky kind of mud. Glup. This mud both looks and feels amazing. It's just the right temperature that it just feels great on your froggy Anu skin.
Nice.
Yeah, Araxie's absolutely taking a dip right now.
To the left, there is something shining, almost like metal, a large contraption, the size of a house, but only coming up to your waist. So wide, but very short and squat, and some kind of metal is reflecting off of it. That would be to the south, or to the left, depending on how you're looking, towards where the fisherman's dock is, but it's much closer. It's very nearby. And then to the right, you see some seals are resting and sunning themselves on some particularly large rocks. The seals seem entirely unimpressed by the presence of bipedal children and are not really moving from their spot.
Ah, shiny.
Are we being supervised at all, or are we just mischieving?
No, you guys snuck off.
All right, I'm gonna go and get in the water. I'll leave my clothes like up on the side and just kind of jump in.
The water is cold, and the bottom of it is that weird squishy mud.
Beautiful.
Araxie is diving underneath the water, like coming up, like covering themselves in mud.
Everyone that is not an Anu needs to make an athletics plus vigor check to remain in control of where you are, if you're in the water.
Ah, yay.
Can we not be in the water? Like,
Yeah.
Is there enough rocks?
Oh yeah, you can just stand on the rocks and look at things.
How far away is that structure?
You can see it. It's pretty close.
I want to like head toward it and examine.
Okay. So make an agility plus. I'm gonna say acrobatics check to hop from rock to rock. You need one success.
Are we doing what did you say, like vigor or agility, or what are we doing for the?
If you're swimming, then it's vigor and athletics. If you're jumping rock to rock, then it's agility plus acrobatics.
Wrong letter. Old brain.
Okay. Two of you are fine. Glup, you don't need to roll. You can just swim in the ocean. You're fine.
Yeah, definitely swimming on the beach towards the shiny thing as well.
Okay. Araxie,
Yes.
are you just standing there, or are you going to go with him towards the shiny
Oh,
thing?
I'm in the water. I'm currently covering myself in mud, but once I am satisfied, I will
Okay.
go join them.
You're basically doing just what Glup's doing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, the mud
Araxie
feels
is head to toe covered in mud at this
the
point.
mud feels amazing. It's just like it's so perfect for you guys. All right. And then lastly, we have Henri. What is Henri doing?
He's a bit of a loner, so he's going to find a big rock that's like big enough where it's not submerged, but also low enough where he can kind of shove his feet in the mud and just kind of doing that and then grabbing rocks to the side, like smaller rocks, and like trying to skip them on the water.
Okay. Because the water does have waves crashing, it is a little difficult to skip. But you may notice something when you do that. So go ahead and make a perception check. This will be perception plus probably investigation. I could see arguments for other things. Of course, you don't have anything else at the moment, but yeah. All right, never mind. Yeah, you throw some rocks in the ocean. You get a couple to skip, but yeah, the waves are deforming it, so it's not a flat surface. You do notice eventually that the other 4 seem to have left you alone.
Excellent. I love this.
All right, and so you 4 arrive at this very strange structure. It's made of wood, but it has metal plates in large troughs across it. It also has a bunch of ropes that you're not sure what they're for. And there's like a white kind of crud around the edges of some of the metal plates. Did anyone wish to investigate further?
Okay. Is this like some sort, or actually I go like, is this some sort of like wrecked like boat, fishing boat or something? It's going to like paw around in it a bit.
Sure. Do a cunning plus investigation.
Glup is going to like sort of leap on top of it and sort of like just like start poking it.
There is absolutely no way this was ever a boat. Your just examination of it, this structure was built into the sand, so it has posts securing it in place. It was not meant to move. It was built here and built level, even if it was somehow detached, it would not float. Or at least not float well.
Well, if that's the case, they're actually going to start digging it out.
Okay. Start digging into one of the posts. Alrighty. That would be probably a labor plus agility.
All right.
You get a splinter. Take 1 tax. You can put it to your health, or if you want to avoid it through some other thing.
I'm just going to take to my health.
Okay. You do not succeed in uprooting it. Anybody else want to do anything before the next thing happens?
Glup will help them try to dig this thing out.
All right, same thing. Make your roll.
I'm gonna look for any. So you said it's posts and metal. I just kind of want to look around it for any thing that doesn't look as well constructed, or any part of it that like looks like it might break apart easy.
It does look like this has not been maintained in a while, but yeah, it's okay. Tice, you succeed in not getting a splinter, but you are unable to dig deep enough to root it out. Yeah, so it's
Flail a bit. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that's Internet.
Oh, I didn't realize you were speaking. Yeah, so it's the structure itself is made of wood, and it seems to be holding these sort of metal plates in place. And like I said, there's like this weird, like kind of white, crusty stuff around the outside edges of the metal plates. The metal plates are set into the wood, But yeah, they're in these like sort of troughs going back and forth across it.
Like they're moving, or
Nope, everything's standing still. There are ropes. It looks like some stuff might have been meant to move at some point, but you can't figure out what that intention was, as whatever system that was, it seems to be damaged. The pulleys are rusted to the point where they don't actually turn, and it's just stationary at the moment.
and does any part of it, is it isolated to the structure itself, or is any part of it going off in any other direction?
Well, the structure itself is about the size of a house. That's only horizontally. Vertically, like I said, it only comes up to your waist. It is just barely above the high tide mark, but only just barely. I'm not sure that your character would know what a high tide mark is.
Probably not.
Whereas the Anu probably know it so well they don't even think to mention it. Or I don't know. Is this your first time seeing the ocean for your characters?
It's not for Araxie. I don't know that.
It's not for
No.
me. I've seen the ocean before. I'm actually looking for mollusks to eat, like oysters or clams. Or
Wait, what I was saying earlier, though, was that when Araxie gets her splinter, she kind of like flails and just splashes mud across the people, whoever's nearby.
Okay.
And is now currently saying they're like not digging it out, but like playing at it.
You hear voices coming from the south. You don't see anyone over the rocks yet, but there's definitely some voices coming from that direction. There are places under the structure that you could easily hide if you wanted to hide, or you could go and meet them.
What do the voices sound like? They're just voices?
At the moment, they're just voices, but yeah, an investigation plus focus check, you might be able to recognize them.
are we inland, or can we hide in the water? Under like, I'm not entirely clear exactly where we are located at the moment.
So you're at a place on the rocks where this weird wooden structure has been set up, but you're at the ocean. The ocean laps upon these rocks, and the mud and stuff is kind of all around.
Okay, well, I'll get out, get dressed, and my hair is still dripping wet, but I'll like cover up my ears and then put my scarf back around my neck.
Okay, you're still covered in mud?
Well, I was in the water, so
Oh, okay,
I'll
all right,
wash
yeah.
it off, like I said. But I am quite dripping wet at the moment.
Yeah, you have no idea who those voices are.
Ghosts, Araxie shouts, and then dives under the water.
One of the voices says, "Did you hear that?"
Glup will hide in one of the spots of the machine.
Meanwhile, a bit north, Henri. You've been enjoying the peace and solitude, but you hear a shout to the south. Someone shouts, "Ghosts!" And there's a splash.
Yeah, I assume. So I'm to the north?
You are.
Wait, so where are the voices closer to me or further?
Well, it's the direction that your friends went in.
Got it. So can I even hear them?
Yes. They just
Okay.
went over to play on that weird reflective metal structure that you could see. You can see them, really, from here.
Oh, can I hear the voices?
What's that?
Could I hear the voices of the people that are...
The voices of the people are further past them, so you didn't hear that. You just heard somebody shout "Ghosts!" and jump in the water.
Yeah, Henri's going to continue doing what he's been doing. So basically just continuing to try and successfully skip rocks, just not really paying much attention, assuming that the other folks are just like basically playing. So I'll just like not assume that there's actual ghosts.
Okay. The seals to the north of you seem unmoved. They're not worried about ghosts at all. They would very much prefer that you not throw the rocks at them, so your current direction is fine by them. All right, then. To the south. So those of you who have chosen not to hide, which ones are you? I know it's Shari. You're not hiding, right?
Yeah, I'm currently kind of covering my face a little bit, and then kind of rubbing my eyes.
Okay.
Henri is not hiding.
Yes. Henri is a little far away for it to matter, so you're kind of hiding, but yeah. Not on purpose.
Excellent.
All right, then. So Araxie is hiding in the water.
I'm kind of like trying to camouflage myself into the mud.
Okay.
I'm just gonna sit down on a rock and like.
Mina, what are you doing?
I'll just head over to Shari.
Okay. And let's see. And Glup, what are you doing?
I'm currently hiding in one of the spots of the of that machine. You said there was a couple hiding spots in there.
Okay, you're hiding. Right.
Yeah.
How many Anu do we have here?
2.
2. Okay. I'm getting confused about which characters are and are not Anu. I need to take some notes. Give me just a second.
Yeah, the only 2 Anu that came, or both came to the beach today.
Yeah, according to my notes, there are only 2 Anu at the orphanage. So both Anu, or all the Anu, came to the beach today. Which makes sense. It's the beach.
Araxie really wanted to go on the water with the fisherman and can't now. And so is upset and threw a fit by going to the beach.
Oh, okay. That's what it is. And Shari is the half-elf that can breathe in the water. Got it. Okay. That's why I get confused. Shari is so close to being an Anu for the statistics that matter for survival purposes in my tracking that I got confused for a second. But all right, I'm back on track. All right then. So over one of the rocks climbed 2 figures, a boy and a girl, much bigger than you kids, but still not what you would think of as a proper adult. They're not like Grammy. They're closer in age to Miss Mabel, and several of you have met them before. It is the fisherman's children. It's McElroy and Cerebrine. Climbing over, they say, "Hey, what are you kids doing here?"
See, I was gonna go. I was going to go fishing, in the boat, but then the boat didn't go in because there's tides, and the tides are strange, apparently. So I came here anyway, and now I'm going to go swimming. Do you like swimming? I love swimming.
I do like swimming, says Mac. Sarah kind of nods her head. She says, we came here to practice. You can see that they are holding some very excellently made toy weapons. McLaroe has a wooden sword and shield, and Sarah Bream has a wooden spear that has been blunted at the tip so that she can't actually hurt anyone, but they're of solid make, very thick, and yeah, seem quite well crafted. It says, we like to use the old salt maker for balance. See if we can balance on its beams while we fight. It's good practice.
The old what? Sorry, I missed that on Calvert.
She said the old salt maker. But you're welcome to ask her to elaborate.
See that as to that these are not ghosts. Araxie is going to like pop out of the water and like pretend to have been swimming the whole time. It's not particularly interested in saltwater. Is very interested in going swimming. So she's going to look and say, "Swimming? I heard swimming. Do we want to race? Bet you I can make it to the seals."
Max smiles and says, seals might not want to be disturbed at this time of day. Says the tides are strange. That's when the whirlpools show up that lead to the blue world.
Blue world?
His sister elbows him and says, don't tell him that nonsense. Says, yes, the blue world, where the seals stand up on their hind flippers and walk around with capes and crowns like proper lords and ladies. And she says, don't lead them on like that. In the blue world, the seals will eat you just like cattle. Plus, you can't breathe down there anyway, she says to your brother. He nods to the Anu and says, they can.
Shari says, but seals can't. Seals can't breathe down there. I can, but not seals.
Sarah laughs at that. See? Your theory's falling apart already. Says, I swear, Lorpin told me. He said he saw the blue. So there's a cave up north. Not far from here. It's the seal's special entrance.
Can we go? Can we go? Can we go?
So we can't go. We're just going to practice for a little bit before heading back. There's going to be some unloading we got to do. But you're welcome to stay and watch. And Sarah says, yeah, stay and watch me kick his butt. She jumps up onto the wooden beams that she had referred to as the salt maker, and brandishes her spear, challenging her brother. He hops up and wields his sword and shield. The shield is a round shield, which, for those of you who were recently housed near Celebre, is a type that the Crimson Guard have started using recently. His is, of course, made of wood, and not at all official, but it's been carved with loving care to resemble as close as possible the official Crimson Guard regalia. Do you guys want to stay with them, or head north and look for that cave they mentioned?
That cave sounds interesting.
I'm going to go look for the cave.
Yeah, let's go to the cave. Let's go to the cave. Henry, we're going to the cave.
Stay safe up
Henri's
there.
very curious, so he follows you guys.
Yeah, Max says, stay safe, and Sarah says, and remember, the strange tides do weird things to the water. Look out for whirlpools. and you guys head back north. So, Henri, the group has returned to you with exciting news. I presume they returned to you with exciting news.
Yeah, there's people that are gonna have a fight down there.
Also
It's
caves.
exciting.
We're going to a cave Lorpin found. I've already forgotten the kid.
You forgot
I
what?
hope there's monsters in the cave.
The two fishing kids or whatever. They told us about it.
Yeah, you can call them Mac and Sarah. Their full
Mac
names
and-
are Macrolo and Cerebrine. Both of them have fish in their names because they're children of a fisherman.
The fish kids.
Yeah.
They told us where it was. We could see the seals. Araxie slowly trails off, having forgotten about all the details, just being excited.
Upright in top hat and coats and stuff.
Yes, exactly.
But we gotta keep an eye out. They might want to eat us.
All right. Is there anybody not going north looking for the cave? All right, excellent. Then let's just have everybody make a quick exploration plus focus roll to see if you can find it.
Exploration plus what?
Focus. Because, you know, you could easily get distracted by interesting things out here. All right, Troy, you're in serious risk of getting distracted by something, but everybody else seems to have worked together to find the cave. Your distraction is a little bit distressing as you got separated from the group for a moment and had a moment of stress. So take a point of tax to your composure, unless you have some other way to mitigate it.
No, that's fair.
But with some embarrassment, you do catch up. And they have found the entrance to a cave. It's down low, very near the water. There's some seals around, but the seals are just kind of lazily flopping a little bit out of the way. They don't want to get too close to you, but they also don't want to give up their wonderful sunning spot on this beautiful day. The cave is dark. And a little bit wet. But the rocks are solid enough. It doesn't seem like there's any risk of cave-in. The mud seems isolated to the ground, not the ceiling.
How dark are we talking?
So at the entrance, the sunlight shines into it quite clearly. But maybe like 20 feet in, it gets pretty oppressively dark. There are some cracks in the ceiling because it is basically made of piled rocks, but those cracks, again, are most prevalent near the entrance. And so getting further in, there might still be cracks, but there's not enough light to even see that there are cracks in the ceiling. You can attempt to proceed blindly into the darkness, or you can try to find a solution.
So I am a dwarf.
Yeah, some of us
And-
can see in the dark.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah. I don't know if I have any keen vision, but I have the labyrinth, which I think gives me some sort of keen hearing, maybe.
It does. It gives you keen hearing, and it gives you essentially perfect sense of orientation. So you can sense slope and understand as you change depth when you move through caverns.
Excellent. Yeah, I was wondering if I could also try and yell out and use some sort of like echolocation to get a feel for like how deep or wide the cavern might get.
Interesting. If you didn't have that, I would say that that is very far-fetched, almost supernatural, but the labyrinth is the kind of thing that would enable that. In fact, sonomancy, the dwarven form of magic, is based entirely on that. So yeah, let's go ahead and make a... I could see cunning or focus for this. No, actually, no, this is perception. This is 100% perception. Okay. Yeah, do a exploration plus perception roll. Yeah, you have a really good sense. The cave continues into the dark, but you can feel kind of from the echoes and your sense from your organ. Oh, by the way, your organ should have given you some pips for that. Just a heads up. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's what the gift that he gives, right? Isn't it keen something?
The labyrinth?
Yes.
Just says you gain +1 resist. Oh, and may add a gift equal to your current resist.
Yeah. So whatever
Yeah, okay,
whatever
cool.
your resist was, you would add that as pips to that roll. But you got 2 successes anyway, so your roll can't be any more perfect than that. But for next time, yeah, that's the gift of it. As long as you stay healthy and don't take a lot of damage to your resist, then the labyrinth gives you bonuses to those kinds of rolls. Okay, so yeah, it slopes downward and to the right, which is back towards actually where the river is. You don't think it goes far enough to reach the river, but it definitely goes in that direction. And I'd say with 2 successes, you can sense that the echoes seem to go far enough that it actually might go under the ocean. Not like the big ocean, but like goes under the beach to the point where like it would be out in the water if it was above, but it's not. It's below.
Yeah, so basically, well, in order to do this, I had gotten into like a power stance, like wide legs, both of my arms out with my hands cupped over my mouth, and like made some weird noises. And then I will relay to the group what I think the cave system looks like.
All right. Armed with that knowledge, do you guys want to proceed?
Yes.
Okay. I heard a yes, and I didn't hear anything else, so we're going in.
Henri already felt pretty confident. Like, basically, he just said it to the group, and then just started marching in.
All right. About halfway around the turn, you start to notice that there actually is some light source ahead. It's very faint, and you won't be able to see it properly until you get the rest of the way around the bend. But something is glowing a very faint blue, and casting its light against the rocks. There was no way to see it from the entrance, but now that you've turned the bend, it's becoming clear.
Araxie excitedly is going up. It's the blue! And
Let's go.
start rushing towards it.
Yeah, Glup will fall behind them, rushing.
All right. You guys rush around the corner and down the cavern, where now there is clearly some blue light shining. And you come out into a somewhat more open little cavern where it seems that the whole thing kind of dead ends. There's some water at the bottom of this cavern, and around the edge of it, where the water is touching the walls, some kind of thin, fuzzy plant on the walls is glowing blue where the water is touching it. From that faint blue light, you can see that there is more plant going further up the wall, but it's not touching blue. Or it's not touching the water, and it's not glowing blue. Only the ones that are touching the water are.
So the stuff that's touching the water is glowing blue?
Yes. The water is pooled in the middle of the room. Like, the floor of the room is a little pool of water. And the outer rim, where that water is touching the wall, there's this plant that glows blue where the water is touching it. The water itself is quite shallow. You guys can step in. It barely goes up to your knees.
So is this plant like all over the walls or just in like, a little bit?
Well, there's only the light to see the base, so just a little bit, but it does seem to go up. If you could find a way to create more light, then you could see.
Araxie's going to grab a handful of like some of the plant off the wall and stick it in the water and see what happens.
You're able to pull some tufts of the fuzzy plant stuff off the wall and put it in the water, and it immediately glows blue when it touches the water.
When I pull it out of the water, does it continue to glow blue?
It does. It continues to glow blue.
Can I use this as a flashlight?
As kind of like a torch, you're able to hold it up and see that there is this sort of fuzzy material going all the way up to the top. It's sort of a large dome-shaped room. A little bit uneven, but mostly sealed in. And, yeah, and the fuzzy stuff has grown all over the place. After like a little bit of time of being out of the water, the tops of it, where the water's drying the fastest, start to fade, and it's losing the light a little bit.
We splash water on the wall.
Yeah, we're gonna do some splashing of the walls and stuff.
It looks beautiful. Ripples of blue dance across the wall where you splash it. And yeah, they fade slowly, but you can see how, like, as the water moves down the wall, it excites new strands of the plant, glowing blue some more. And so the pattern that you splashed eventually folds itself all the way down to the pool at the base.
Henri says to himself, kind of just thinking to himself, huh, I wonder how long that blue light will last.
Well, as long as it's in the water, I guess it might. Actually, you're thinking that. So is this the only part of the room, or is there anything else that goes anywhere else? Like us, like creating light.
There doesn't seem to be anything else. It's just a really fun room with a really neat visual effect.
Araxie's going to grab a bunch of these like tufts of plant and just keep them.
Okay. Just stick them in your pocket, basically?
Pretty much, yeah.
Shari's just mesmerized right now, so.
I'm just going to keep splashing and see if I can find any sort of pattern other than the splashing I'm making.
The pattern seems to be that contact with water makes them glow blue.
I'm gonna like start digging in the water area just to see if there's anything like left here. It seems like a weird spot.
Some of the rocks do seem a little bit loose. You might be able to pry one up from the mud.
All right.
This will be a vigor plus labor check.
Nope.
You strain yourself with the effort. Take a tax to something relevant. Let me know like what the effect is that you've taxed. But you do eventually pry one up. And a little bit of the water starts to drain out a little bit, and then stops as it fills up the cavity you created.
A little bit of my health. I cut my hand a little bit.
All right. You're not sure how long you're down there playing with the really interesting blue lights. They're so entrancing. And then some new lights start to glow from the top of the room. Little ripples of blue that start at the very top and flow down the bottom. They started small at first and have turned into this amazing hypnotic pattern of ripples of light coming from the very top of the dome, going all the way down the walls, and to the bottom.
Mina's going to start backing to the entrance.
And in order to do that, you're going to need to make some kind of check to overcome the hypnotic trance.
Oh.
I will accept you just taking a 3-point tax, but if you have some skill or ability that can help you to break a hypnotic trance, then let me know. Or just stay there.
My trait is, I'm just trying to think of, because I've already seen what the water does, and I'm examining what that depends on this if this is magical. But I'm examining what's happening on the ceiling, and I have attention to detail, so I'm like linking all that together.
All right, let me take a look at your character sheet. Boom. All right, I would say that if you were to make a propriety plus empathy roll to try and get out of that, I would consider that okay, that you understand yourself well enough, but I'm going to make you take that at disadvantage because you have clings to light, so you're going to be doing this at a threshold penalty.
You're looking at a different character.
I am? Oh, it's not Crystal's one? Hold on.
No, Mina's here.
Oh, Mina, I'm sorry. My bad.
Christosar
Oh,
would
yeah.
be staring at that light and doing nothing but.
You're right. Mina has attention to detail, yeah. So take it with advantage.
Okay, so and basically an empathy roll, but with a threshold bonus. Is that how we're doing?
Yes. So your threshold would be 5. Okay, you've mitigated one of the tax.
And it was 3 total, right?
Yes. So 2 tax, probably to your composure. Unless the reason you're able to break the chance is you trip over a rock and hurt yourself or something.
I think the composure makes sense.
Araxie, I think, is preconditioned to fall into this trance, so is very much fallen into this trance.
Yeah, Glup is currently collecting a bunch of the glowing stuff and like wrapping it around parts of his body so he could like swim in the water to like use the glowing stick.
You've become a glow frog.
Shari's totally happy with the hypnotic trance and is just kind of hanging out, just vibing.
Yeah, Henri's collecting as much of the plant as he can, hoping to use it as a bartering chip when he gets back to the other kids.
Right on. All right. So it would be Mina then who breaks out of the trance and discovers that a part of the route to get here that you didn't really pay attention to at the time was that there was a place where you kind of had to climb down under something and up over something. It was such a minor thing in the general curvature of the tunnel that you didn't pay much mind to it, but getting back to it, you see that it's filled with water.
Like our way in is filled with water.
Yes. There's a place where you would have to go underwater to get back out.
I'm gonna shout to the others and say our way out is flooded.
Everyone hears that.
I assume for the Anu, this is not a big deal.
Not at all.
It does even register for Araxie.
And also the half-elf has gills. So for 3 of the characters, this is not a problem.
I think for Henri, they won't consider this a problem until they get in the water and have some sort of sense of how long it will take them to get to air again.
Okay. They will need to break out of the trance first.
Are we all in the trance right now? Except for
Mina.
Kite?
Yeah.
Cool. I think that
You can just take 3 attacks to your composure and break yourself out of it by just hating yourself for missing out on the opportunity to see how pretty it is.
Like, are we even aware that we're in a trance? Like, how deep into the trance?
It's yeah. You're aware that you're looking at something that's really pretty, once in a lifetime opportunity. You've never seen anything like it. It's the most beautiful thing in the world, and you definitely want to keep looking at it because it's constantly changing, and you don't want to miss a moment of it.
I don't know if I'm actually helping, but I can, like stop talking about the flood and start commenting about the ceiling distracting all of you, and it's actually more dangerous. We should get out of here.
Ah, that's good. Yeah. All right. Make a persuasion plus empathy that can count against or count as helper successes for them. All right, there you go. So everybody's got a success to reduce the cost of escaping the trance.
How much was the cost again?
Well, the cost originally was 3, but this has reduced it to 2.
And that's just a straight tax?
Well, it's specifically a tax to your composure unless you have some other way of mitigating it. As I suggested earlier, maybe you trip and fall and hurt yourself and notice that you need to get out. It is just the non-water breathers that need to get out, but yeah.
Yeah, this still has not registered as a threat to Araxie.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is if we wait long enough, the whole thing can be like lighten up.
All right, so Kristen, you said you paid the tax to break out of?
Possibly. I was thinking of a possible other way.
Okay, yeah. What other way?
So you were talking about if you were to trip, that might like break you out of the trance.
Yeah, so you would be taxing your health instead of your composure, or you could, you could tax your notice and just say that you notice that there's a problem.
Got it. Well, I was thinking again of capitalizing on my dwarvenness. So I have dwarven fortitude, which helps me with weathering physical punishment. So perhaps like I fall, but maybe it's not as bad because of my dwarven fortitude. It's okay if that's not the case, but it specifically mentions having a resistance to certain poisons and natural toxins, so I don't know if it actually applies to like physical force. It says like, well, it does say like weathering physical punishment by sheer force. Like I'm capable of weathering physical punishment.
Yes, so this is represented by adding your focus when calculating your health and giving you a resistance of quality 4 to venoms, poisons, and other toxins. So
cool.
you should have more health than normal because your focus should be added to it in additional time. Or actually, focus is not normally added to health. Normally, focus is just added to your composure. But as a dwarf, your focus is also part of your health. If that was not done on your character sheet, I can fix that right now.
Yeah, you're basically getting one of your mentals toward your physical.
Okay, let me go fix that.
The only way I tested that was removing dwarven fortitude, and it didn't have an impact on my health. Cool. In that case, Henri was already kind of like shuffling around, trying to grab as much of this plant matter as possible, and just kind of like shoving it into like his pockets and like his shirt and just wherever he can shove it. Then he proceeds to basically like trip and fall flat on his face, and voila, that breaks him out of the trance, I believe.
Okay, very good. Yeah, 2 tax to your health. I've fixed your health formula, so it now calculates your focus as part of it. I did that with the blue. You'll see the little blue +1 there. That's where that happened.
Sweet, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, you've broken out of the trance. And following down the corridor, you see that it looks like something shifted in the rocks. You don't remember them being shaped this way when you came through, and your memory for this is nearly perfect. It looks like something shifted, maybe when a rock was pulled out of the ground somewhere, and it altered the way the rocks were all balanced together. But yeah, the way out now requires you to dip down into a pool of water, and you don't know what's on the other side. Except that, it's the cavern you came up, but you don't know if it's filled with water or how far the water goes. If you want to redo your little echolocation trick, we can see if you can figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I could do that, or I was wondering if I might have some level of like a memory of it, I guess.
You know that your precise depth is currently below sea level. Just a little bit. Just by like a couple feet.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy, am I worried that we're screwed. All right, I am gonna attempt to swim up through it, but I'm gonna try my best to like save enough breath where if I start feeling like it's too far, I'm gonna swim back, or if I feel like it's been flooded, I'll just swim back to the cavern.
Okay. So you dive down into the water, and the sort of first thing you notice as you get to the other side of the shifted rock that moved in the way is that there isn't air on the other side. The water seems to go all the way up. you can't see it, but the water's not there where it should be. Or the air isn't there above that water pool. So the water is definitely further up. And the only way that can happen is if the room that you were in before is airtight. Which presents another problem, which is that the air breathers in that room will eventually run out of air.
Swim back and let everyone know.
So,
you got a problem.
Everyone that's still entranced are water breathers.
Oh, yeah. I'm starting to tell everyone, and then I realize they're not listening to me and not taking them very seriously. And
It's so pretty.
yeah, I'm gonna start. Oh wait, the people that are currently in a trance are just the Anu.
Well, the Anu and the sea elf, well, half elf, but she has gills, so she's also.
You may or may not know that I can breathe underwater.
That's possible. Yeah.
I do tend to hide it.
Got it. In that case, well, at this point, I think I'm gonna really just look at Troy's character. I'm trying to remember what the name is.
Mina was listening to you intently until you trailed off and is just staring at you, waiting for you to finish.
Yeah. So I'll just like start shaking Mina on the shoulder, like we're in danger. We really need to figure out how to get out of here, or we're gonna die.
The Anu, you both are feeling extra comfortable as the water level has risen up to your knees.
Araxie is going to like lay down on her back and just stare up at the ceiling,
It's
floating
so
in
pretty.
the water.
I guess at this point, I'm going to attempt to break out.
Okay. Will you do it by paying the tax, or did you have something you'd like to do?
I'll pay the tax.
Okay.
The 2 tax, right?
Yep.
Well, that was fun. And then like seeing that. So what's the problem for the ones that can't breathe under the water? Well, not well.
So Henri is getting more and more flustered. I assume Mina was just non-responsive, and so I'm going to switch my attention to Glup.
Audrey, relax.
Sorry, yeah.
Araxie's gonna go. Audrey, relax. We could. It's fine. We could just sit here and look at us.
I'm just gonna ignore you because you don't understand the gravity of the situation, and continue to try to convince people that aren't entranced we have a problem, and we're gonna repair those of us that can't breathe water.
All right. An option might be to physically strike them. That would create the tax necessary to snap them out.
Yeah, I guess I'll do that to the 2 remaining people. I don't know if I can just do 1 if that's the case.
Your voice kind of trailed off there. I didn't catch all of that.
So I don't know if I can slap both because I know there's 2 that are still entranced. But I'll first go. I'll first target Araxie, just since Araxie was like talking to me last, and kind of like start shaking them, just violently, like snap out of it.
Araxie is lying prone, so it's not a difficult thing to do, but you will need to be sufficiently forceful. So go ahead and make a You're shaking, so that's probably vigor. Plus unarmed combat.
Yeah. And while they're doing that, I guess I'll go dive into the cave area.
All right, Araxie, you have taken a point of damage towards being snapped out of it, but also a actual point of damage.
All right.
Yeah, Henri literally jumped on top of your body and was just shaking you violently.
Araxie, because it still is not enough to snap Araxie out of it, even with the one that Troy provided earlier as well. If it still applies at this point. Araxie's going to just try and, like, have you float in the water alongside her.
Just, playing around, wrestling. That's no big deal. Tice, did you say you were going to investigate?
Yeah, I was going to dive through the thing. Since I'm covered in algae, I can swim through the water to see better.
Okay. You're able to swim all the way to the top. The cave is now underwater. The entrance to the cave is underwater as the tide has risen.
How far is it from the nearest entrance or place where they could breathe?
It's a total of about a 90-foot swim. So it's not bad. I mean, for you, it's easy. For them, you could maybe drag them along and they could hold their breath for long enough, probably. It would be a roll, and somebody would probably take some tax on that.
I guess I can go back and tell them that,
Before you do, make a investigation plus perception check on the surface. Okay, and then you swim back. Very good. All right, meanwhile, back in the cave.
I'm going to attempt to cover Shari's eyes, and depending on what that does, I'll proceed to a next action.
Okay, that's a good thing. Let's see, Ed went AFK. But yeah, when he gets back, we'll cover that. I think Shari's probably going to resist that a little bit, so it'll probably be a very similar unarmed plus vigor grappling.
I'm curious about how the Anu work. So they can breathe. Do they have gills?
They are frogs for all intents and purposes. So they have frog anatomy, including frog breathing apparatus. So they can be underwater indefinitely, but also can be out of the water indefinitely. They're not stuck in either situation.
Technically, frogs can't breathe underwater. But...
What's that?
Technically, frogs can't breathe underwater once they're adults. But Anu can.
Yeah.
I guess what I was getting at is, what I was curious is, and I honestly don't know how well this would work in practice anyway, but if there's some way that they can mouth to mouth breathe air into someone while they're submerged.
No, because while they're doing that, they're not getting oxygen themselves, I don't think.
I mean, yeah, I can through gills. And Anu breathe through their skin. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They can't breathe underwater if they're wearing clothes. Like tight-fitting clothing or armor.
Got it. Yeah, I don't know how realistic that would be, where they're taking in the air from gills or their skin and then actually exhaling breathable air through their mouth, which I assume is probably not realistic.
All right, Tice rejoins the group with news about the route out.
Yeah, I think that would work. You couldn't do it forever. It would just, it would basically be like giving someone CPR constantly. At some point, you're gonna want to stop that. But yeah.
All right. Let's see. Ed, Kristen's character was going to try to cover your character's eyes to snap you out of it.
Okay.
It was actually Troy's character.
Oh, Troy, I'm sorry. So, so Troy, go ahead and make your grappling check there with unarmed plus figure. It's against a prone target, so no real target number here.
I did not succeed.
That is a failure.
I've helped enough.
I'll shake it off. What do I need to do to try and shake this off?
Pay 2 tax. Narratively, it probably makes the most sense to pay it to your composure, as you're missing out on a wonderful lifetime opportunity. But I have also provided the option for characters that wanted to like trip and hurt themselves to snap out of it through health. It was originally 3 tax, but Troy gave a great little speech to try and snap people out of it.
All right.
Yeah.
I snap out of it.
Okay. And that's everybody. I think everybody's awake and aware now? Or is Araxie still...
Araxie is still just floating in the water.
Okay, Araxie's got one more tax to manage.
And Araxie is not going to break this spell willingly. Araxie will sit here all night if Araxie can.
Alrighty, what are the rest of you doing?
I'm going. Glup is going to belly flop on top of Araxie. We get big mighty leap and just like 4 arms and just like.
Alright. Unarmed plus agility to see if you aim properly and don't get juked.
Araxie's probably not going to juke this.
There you go. So there's your other point of tax there as a frog lands on you.
What something rooted on him, and Araxie just going like fling like whatever's nearby at Glup,
which is this glowing moss. It turns out. So there's a little mud fight with glowing moss going on. But you're now snapped out of it and realize that your non-water breathing friends are in danger.
Yeah. Oh.
The water is now up to your waist.
You all should probably leave.
Yeah. They need help. They don't breathe well underwater. We need to help expedite way out.
Henri's a little freaked out, but is like also really intent on finding a way out because they don't want to die. So they're like trying to look up at the top of the cavern that we're in and like see if there's any way, like maybe splashing water on the plants to get better light to try and like see what's up top. Like, is there potentially enough cracks or large enough cracks that we might be able to escape out that way?
Splashing the water on the walls enhances the brightness even further because the walls were already a little bit glowing, and you see that the reason they were glowing is at the very top of the dome there is a loose stone that is wiggling a little bit, and every time it wiggles a little bit of water drips in from the ocean above and makes its way down the walls, creating those beautiful waves of light. The only reason it would wiggle is if it's loose. But if it comes completely loose, it's going to very quickly flood the chamber. It's also at the top, so you need a way to get to it, which at the current rate that the water is rising might just be weight. But you might run out of air before that happens too, so there's lots of things to consider there.
I'm already eyeing... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
How far? Well, how faster is that if we were to go up through the roof to the ocean?
How fast did you say?
I mean, like if they were to get like enough air to go from like if they were to climb through if the rock was gone, would it be faster than trying to go underneath the area and climbing out?
Oh, okay. So if you try to take them that 90-foot distance, then they're going to need to hold their breath, which is going to hurt them after a little bit. And so the way that's going to work is that they're going to have a 6 tax coming at them that those of you who are not water breathing can try to mitigate by helping them swim faster. So you guys can make your swimming checks to try and get them up faster, to not suffer as much damage from nearly drowning on the way up. That's if you try to swim the tunnel. If you can find some way to get that stone out, water will pour into the room and raise the water level, which will create a way for them to swim out through the top with very little trouble. They'll just have to hold their breath for a little bit. But it would need to happen quickly because the area that you're in right now is very nearly water sealed. It's only really losing water through the top, or air through the top, and new air is not refreshing it. So if you just wait for the water to rise as it's currently doing, they'll asphyxiate before it gets high enough for them to swim out.
I currently have a rock, and I have really great at jumping, so I can just jump up and like hit the rock with my rock.
Well, Anu also are excellent climbers, so Araxie's just going to climb these vine
Yeah, I
things.
could also do that as well.
Alrighty. So make your athletics check for climbing. It'd be probably athletics plus agility for you guys. It's not really a vigor
pips,
thing.
I think, right?
What's up?
Plus pips?
Yes. If you're Anu, you should absolutely have climbing pips from your Way of the Leaf.
Which is quality 4. So agility of 2 and quality 4 pips.
And a good thing, too, because that would not have been a
bare
success.
minimum.
Yeah. Okay. Both of you are able to climb up and examine the rock from up close. Up on the ceiling, hanging upside down, the rock does look like it could be pushed, but you're going to be pushing against the current of the ocean. This is a significant vigor test.
How, like, could I have, like, carried the rock up with me to, like, smash it?
Pull it in?
You cannot pull it in. The tighter it pulls, the better it seals. It was pulled in, and it's the twisting currents up top that are causing it to wiggle and release water. When it's in its natural state of pulled down, it's a watertight, airtight seal. The sticky mud around it creates that seal.
What do you think about using a rock to smash it?
I mean, I think it would help. We should do that. And we should probably push together rather than separately.
Okay.
All right, team effort.
Also, I think that Distant mentioned that it's the twisting motion of the ocean that's like uncorking it. So I wonder if you both can kind of like try and twist it, I suppose.
From the bottom, that would be very difficult, though maybe not from the top.
Can I swim out and see if I can help from the top?
Absolutely. From the top, it's almost effortless. You can just drag it to the side.
All right, I'll swim out.
Araxie's still going to push anyway, not knowing.
You're helping. You're helping.
Yeah.
And you're down there to help the non-water breathers swim up quickly to the surface. At the top, you do see that there is a whirlpool that is formed, and the rock seems to be at the bottom of the whirlpool where the turns are just twisting it around. But yeah, you can pluck it free from that. This is a vigor plus athletics check. Failure means that you are swept away by the whirlpool, so be aware of that. And you'll have to make your way back again to try again.
I can use swimming pips, right?
Yes, you can.
You got this.
You guys brought the perfect team to handle these situations. 3 water breathers, a dwarf to navigate the caves.
Nope. No dice.
No dice. Okay. You take a point of damage as the currents pull you away, and you hurt yourself on the rock. But you can try again in a little bit.
All right.
How? Before this happens, because I am still pushing from inside, does that help in any way?
Yeah, it could actually.
I probably should have rolled for
Yeah,
vigor, right?
If you guys inside can create 2 successes, then you can push it out, and everybody working together can have that taken care of.
Can I argue that because I'm sort of clinging to a wall that this is also clear by climbing?
No.
Okay.
I like the effort, but the actual task doesn't really involve climbing. It's sort of the opposite of climbing. You're trying to make a rock go away from you instead of towards you. Good effort, but no. All right, so we're where we were before. The rock is still in place. Ed, you've taken a point of damage from the attempt.
Yep.
But it was a good attempt. There's no reason to believe that a repeat attempt wouldn't also succeed.
Henri is looking at both of the Anu and just figuring out which one that he's going to use as a scuba device if needed.
Both of them, probably.
Can we, like, communicate through this rock, or is there not enough space for that?
Not enough space yet. As soon as it's open, you'll be able to communicate quite easily. You could maybe shout, and you'd hear someone was shouting, but you wouldn't understand what they're saying. Water is not...
it's not great with sound, is it?
Not great, but it does work. Like, sonar's a thing. It's just... yeah, understanding the intricacies of pronunciation is a little hard. Especially when it transitions water to air. Or in this case, water to rock to air.
Well, I'm going to push again.
Yeah. You said there was like
Okay.
mud around the area, so it would be possible to dig a little bit of it out while we were pushing it.
Oh, you want to try and dig out the mud a little bit first. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you take some time doing that, then that will that'll reduce the difficulty a little bit here. I'll give you guys advantage on it if you do that. And
While we're ready to swim back.
while you're doing that, Mina and Henri or Henri, you guys are starting to have trouble breathing. If you don't find some way to meditate and slow your breathing, you're going to start taking damage. This damage will be to your... it's not directly to your health yet. It's basically just making you tired. So it's going to go to your stamina. Unless you mitigate it in some way. Or if you find some way to meditate and slow your breathing.
So Henri has convinced himself that the plants that were glowing, if eaten, will help you breathe underwater, and just sits down and just calmly just starts eating them.
Okay, you're definitely taking some digestion. Oh wait, you're dwarf. Oh yeah, okay, you're fine.
Crisis averted.
You're fine. Your poop will glow for a week, but other than that, you're fine.
I don't think I can help but continuing to examine like the situation and like everything. So if I'm taking a stamina tax, like that,
Yeah.
that's what's happening.
So both of you are going to take a stamina tax, and then we'll get the new rolls.
All right, we've taken the time to clear some mud and hopefully make this a little easier.
Okay, so Ed, you can make another attempt, this time with advantage.
And we're treating advantage as threshold in this
Yes.
universe.
We're,
Yeah.
we're
Sorry.
pushing.
I know that the Talus rules refer to advantage several times, but don't actually say what it does. But yes, we're treating it as threshold. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that it currently does is it allows you to use your whatever they are. Like,
Oh, your potential?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. House rule then. I'm letting it affect threshold.
okay.
Success! Removing the mud did it, and you guys, you pull the rock aside. Water immediately begins pouring in. The whirlpool intensifies. But you've got the rock that you've just pulled away to cling to. And yeah, so the water level now is rising intensely. Air is bubbling up through the whirlpool, and yeah, it was a rough going for a moment, but you were only ever like 10, 20 feet underwater. You weren't like all that far under the surface. So you guys pop up in the midst of the whirlpool, the blue glowing in a little hole at the bottom of the whirlpool below you, and you're back up on the surface. The water level's much higher now. Looking down, you can see the salt maker. Now that the water level is at its height, you can see that it looks like the salt maker was designed so that at high tide, seawater would pour into it, and then at low tide it would have dried out into salt that people could chip away. But through some breakdown, the water's not getting inside it. So that's what's going on over there. It was just low tide when you first got there, so that's why you didn't see why it worked. Or in this case, didn't work. And exhausted from your adventure, I presume you guys make your way back to the orphanage?
Alright, yeah, I bring my clothes out and sort myself out.
Right.
Yeah, definitely heading back.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the other kids had their own little adventures too.
Going to say, you kind of have to drag Araxie out of the water, but Araxie begrudgingly goes.
I mean, you're probably getting hungry, so there is some motivation to go back. But yes, it was very pretty. Oh,
Well,
Henri like kisses the ground when we get back to land.
Araxie scoffs at you. It kind of like throws some mud on you and goes.
Wait, if this thing glows, I'm just gonna eat some of the algae. Just be like, maybe this will make me glow at some point. But yeah, see what the other people are doing.
Those of you who are bringing algae back, are any of you bringing any of the mud or rock for it to sit on, or like water to keep it alive, or are you just putting it in your pockets?
Araxie is doing like that sort of thing because Araxie wants to go show it to Lorpin.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of do a little half and half.
Just
Probably keep some in water and then dry some out to see what happens, like experimentation.
I'm just carrying some in my pocket, but my pockets are soaking wet, so it's basically hydrated for the time being anyway.
Yeah, until we can get some. I put it in actual water. Whatever's left over after I eat some of it.
Okay. And you guys make it back to the orphanage where Miss Mabel is unloading another cartload of, looks like, fresh fruit, oranges and grapes and other sweet things, and stocking them into the enormous pantry and ice or cold box that they have there. The cold box itself seems to be powered by these little marbles that Miss Mabel puts into it from time to time. You don't know where the marbles go, but they never come out again. There's a bag of these marbles that she keeps in a locked cabinet. The marbles do glow. just a faint sort of misty white glow. And you're back. Now, the other kids are starting to come back from their chores for the day as well. So we're going to catch up with them and see how they did. First up, let's talk about the kids that went to see the carpenter. So we had Reggie. Let's see. Khalil. And Wampy all went to see the carpenter. So I'd like each of you to make a persuasion plus empathy roll to see if you were able to make progress in convincing the carpenter to dislike you less. And talk to me about what you did to cause whichever result your dice display here. Good news is you can't make things worse. You can only make things better. So if you fail, you fail. It's no biggie. All right, it looks like we only had one success, but we will note that.
Wampy basically never stopped asking questions, and then when the carpenter would answer them, start throwing stones, like little pebbles. Until they were kicked out.
That would explain that result.
Yeah, Khalil just like trying to be like sort of like cheerful side, like trying to offer him fake oxygen and stuff. Just like basically, it's like, oh, you seem to be dehydrated. You know, maybe have some of this fake Asha, but it clearly, I believe it's Asha, you know, drink up. What do you mean you don't want any?
That would annoy him more than please him, yeah. And then Ed, what did Reggie do that actually worked as opposed to everyone else's attempts?
Reggie asked how he could help around the shop and earn his keep, and then continued to have conversations around the monarchy taxes, the monarchist governments taxing private industry is theft, basically.
And that has absolutely begun to endear him to you. Yeah, okay, and that worked. So his hatred has dropped from 20 to 19, and continued progress can proceed. The ones amongst you who were on that adventure, you got to see his work firsthand. The toy sword, shield, and spear that the older kids were playing with was definitely his craftsmanship, and was really high grade. So in collaborating about this with the other kids, you could easily learn that this is the guy who can make the good toys. He's basically grumpy Santa Claus. And yeah, just need to do whatever needs to be done to ungrumpify him. Additionally, several of the kids were doing actual chores for money. So, Mari and Francis, you were both at the herbalist. Was anyone else at the herbalist? I don't think so. All right, so she actually took you out into the woods, those same woods that you were in previously, to gather mushrooms and things. You guys can spend experience points to get stuff from her for the things that she's able to teach. She also awards each of you with 1 pocket change. Pocket change should already be on your character sheets. I'm pretty sure I had it in your inventory section. Yeah, I have pocket change, valuable coins, and precious gems as things that are in your inventory, currently at an amount of 0, but now those characters have 1 pocket change. When coming back, there is an ancient crone waiting for the herbalist, who she greets as Mother. Apparently her mother is visiting town for a bit from faraway lands, and this was a great surprise to her. She introduces you as her little helpers for the day, pays you your coins, and sends you on your way. But while the herbalist kind of looks like a witch, and some people call her a witch, her mother is very obviously a witch. Pointy hat and everything. Like, you've never seen a more witchy witch in your lives. Let's see. Next up, there were... the fisherman. Who went to the fisherman? That would be Zara. That would be Zara. Okay. It was a day of loading and unloading boxes. Mostly just like getting some of the fish that hadn't been sold the previous evening off. A lot of it was getting them into cold storage using the little marbles, or getting them from the cold storage to market. And then there were a bunch of ropes that needed to be replaced on the ship. Some of them had been frayed. One of them looked like it had been cut with a blade of some kind. Yeah, all of that stuff sort of had to be dealt with. So you spent a lot of time climbing, a lot of time carrying, and a lot of time chatting with the fisherman and his first mate, and occasionally his kids when they showed up to do some hauling. Of course, the fisherman pays out his wage, yeah, and that's about it. The only thing that was slightly suspicious was that one of the ropes appeared to have been cut and not frayed naturally. That doesn't seem like something that happens in the general line of fishing. And then we have Elros. Went to the smithy. The smithy said that because, and she looks a little bit frightened when she says this, like, because Miss Maybell would, as she puts it, string me upside down from my britches from the nearest tree, if I actually gave you a working weapon. I'm not going to fix it, but if you spend some time working around the shop, I'll teach you how to fix it. So it'll be entirely on you whether or not you want to risk her wrath. You may spend your experience points there to learn any of the crafting skills that the smithy has to offer, as well as earning yourself a piece of coin, piece of pocket money.
Since only one of our characters has experience right now, does that mean only one of these playing characters or the chores characters can actually spend experience right now, or did we earn any?
No. Only the ones who've been on adventures will have experience points to send. The other ones are basically just earning a coin. They're earning some little copper chits of pocket money. It counts as 1 pocket money, which you can use to get a pip when doing trades or when trying to make the carpenter happy. And presumably, if you get the carpenter to like you enough, you'll be able to then spend them at the carpenter to buy toys. But that hasn't happened yet. I know the carpenter's 20-point hatred seems overwhelming, but as you guys start leveling up social skills, you're going to find it much, much easier to convince them. Speaking of which, Chryslisar was training with the sheriff. The sheriff mostly had you running messages to their deputies. But in one such trip, the sheriff did have to actually leave the jail/courthouse to go manage a dispute. It was very educational watching the sheriff negotiate between two farmers that were upset about the way that somebody had placed a fence post. It seemed silly, but they were taking it quite seriously. And the sheriff also took it seriously with them, or at least pretended to, while he was within earshot of them. But in that moment, when the sheriff was away, you did have to go and run a message to one of his deputies, and you caught sight of somebody inside the jailhouse who the sheriff had not actually let you in. But you managed to get in to see the deputy, and you saw that in the back of the jailhouse, in addition to the regular cells, there's a special jail cell that is suspended from the ceiling. It has a metal plate floor, metal bars, and there's a man in that cell. The deputy shoos you off and tells you, don't speak to him. He's not someone you're to speak to. And then sends you on your way, and otherwise, the day was educational but uneventful, and you were paid for your efforts. You may also spend your experience points learning the various things that the sheriff can teach. Kofric was at the inn. I think you're the only one that went to the inn. Yep. And at the inn, well, of course, you don't have any experience to spend there. You do earn your coin, waiting tables, and listening to the various conversations. And you discover that in casual conversation, two things. One thing you discover is that the inn very much misses having its source of sea salt and would like to see the miller go and repair his contraption down at the beach that makes sea salt. Apparently it's been in disrepair for quite some time, and they miss the wonderful flavors that they're able to make with the sea salt that it would generate. And the other thing you overhear is some of the patrons talking about how they suspect that there's some hidden, buried pirate treasure in this area. They're just not sure where, but they're almost certain that a famous pirate has settled down here in the town somewhere and has their treasure hidden. And of course, you're paid for your efforts and all that. And then we have Nest. Ah, yes. Nest, you did chores around the orphanage, which was mostly unloading the cart today, but also, you know, general maintenance things. Stuff had to be cleaned. Miss Maybell does most of the work, but you're there to help. And while you're helping, she starts telling stories. There is a library of stories in the bottom of the, or in a corner of the ground floor. And she appears to have memorized every book. She knows all the stories of all the great heroes and all the cool things they did and how they got out of all their jams. And so you can learn essentially any, you can train any of the aptitudes up to level 2. And she has, when you get up to 9 experience points to spend, she's got some really cool talents that are aptitude based.
Okay.
You also get a very good sense of the layout of the building. The building is surprisingly symmetrical. Not all buildings are, because there's not always a use for symmetry when making buildings. But yeah, there's a very large central pillar seems to hold up the middle of it, with smaller pillars around the outside. The ground floor level, of course, is larger than the upper floors, and doesn't contain rooms so much as regions. It's a very open concept. There's not a lot of walls. There's just these pillars holding everything together. But yeah, there's the library region, the kitchen and eating region. There is a small fireplace, but yeah, it's not really in use at the moment. And it is not... it's more wooden than you would expect a fireplace to be. There's some stones, like the fire is not just on wood, the fire is on stones, but yeah, yeah, it does seem a little odd that there's so much wood around it. And that's the day. Now, we're going to simplify things for the experience just a little bit. We're not going to do voting for the initial boast anymore. I'm just going to personally, as your GM, award an experience point for your boasts, and then we'll do the rest of it as we did last week. So, now that all the kids are home and everyone's gathered, and Miss Mabel is somehow distracted outside with a cart to load, you all have good food around you. Now's the time to give your boasts before she comes back in and hears how naughty you've been.
So, I'm not sure where everyone else's boasts are going to go, but I guess Henri will kick things off by boasting about. Basically, he'll start like explaining how we went down to the beach, and we found this cave, and we started going into it, but it was really dark, and we couldn't see anything. So then I, roared as loud as I could and figured out, where the end of the cave was, and then bravely led everyone down to the end of the cave, where we found a really cool glowing tunnel. And then I pull out of my pocket like these glowing plants and kind of show them off to everyone, as if it's like magic. And yeah. And then I'll kind of like start plugging that if anyone's interested in getting any of these plants, come see me. I've got a lot, and I'm willing to trade.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't mention at all that you guys nearly drowned.
Glup will climb onto the side and like haul off the side, like, yeah, well, we're in the cave. We were entranced by this stuff, but then of course not most of us we were okay, but like it seemed to like start flooding the area because the tide started coming in. It was all cool. We I dived out, found out a way, but then with some smart thing, me and the other Anu climbed to the top of the roof, and with my genius thing of digging out around the rock, we were able to rip out a rock and make sure the people that need to breathe were able to get to the surface. Like, there was no danger to me, but gotta keep those air breathers breathing. Turns out they're very, very, very allergic to breathing underwater.
Yeah. All right, that's 2. Who's next? You've both been awarded an experience point, by the way.
Yeah, so Shari's just is still kind of wringing out her hair, and then she says, "Yes, we went underwater. There was a cave, and we saw the portal to the blue or something. I didn't really understand most of that. It's like, but I got this magic stuff." She pulls like the still sopping wet, glowing clump of moss out of her pocket. Mari is extremely interested in that, and she says, "We didn't find any treasure. I was looking for pirate treasure. We didn't find any, but there was a trap there." And the room started filling with water, and I swam out. And then with some help, we pulled a rock out and got everybody out. But I'll find the pirate treasure in the future.
Excellent. You get an experience point?
Araxie will go, and Araxie has gone to try and secure like a little bowl or something that she can fill with water and like throw the her moss, which is hers, into. And goes like, yeah, I found this cave. I dragged them all with me to it, and it was really pretty. There's these moss that like would like react with the water like this, and she demonstrates. And I don't know. we go back there. I think Lorpin was the one who originally found it, so we like explored like one of Lorpin's old sites. And mentions absolutely nothing about the water breathers needing to breathe. Or the air breathers need to breathe. The water breathers also need to breathe, but they didn't have a problem with that.
Right on. You get an experience point for that boast. I think there should be one left, right?
Yeah. So we were in the cave and all splashing around. It was great. The glowing on the walls and the blue, but then something was out of place and blue was coming down from the ceiling and everyone was just staring at it, but something didn't seem right. And that's when I knew something had to be wrong and we were in trouble. And I got away and saw that we were starting to we had no way out, and I just started shouting and trying to break people of break everybody of their focus on the blue taking over.
Alrighty, good boast. You get an experience point. Alright, we're going to go through one by one here. So we'll start with Ed. So Shari just went on a fun adventure. Of the characters that Shari was adventuring with, who did Shari think was the best teammate? And why?
One of kind of both of the other frog people, probably. Like she's kind of unaware, but basically the people that helped prevent everyone from drowning.
Which one do you want to give your experience points to for her?
Well, what are their names? So it was Viv and Tice, right?
Yes. Tice.
Araxie, for what it's worth, did not mention a bit about helping. It was just hyper-focused on the boss and Lorpin.
Yeah, I think Tice did do the digging the mud out, so I'll go with his.
And Tice also scouted the way out, too.
Yep.
All right, so that'll be +1 for Glup. And then for Reggie and Mari, of the stories they heard, which ones did they find the most worthy of praise to grant experience points to? Because they heard all the boasts. So they, yeah. Do you want me to come back to you?
Which character are you asking about?
Ed's other two characters, Mari and Reggie. Ed may have gone AFK for a moment.
Oh, sorry.
Are you back?
Yeah, back. Sorry. So how are we doing the experience then? Or so like?
So
my other characters.
Yeah, each of your characters gets to get one experience point.
I gotcha.
So Shari gave hers to Glup.
I see.
Reggie and Mari, having heard the stories, which ones are they giving experience points to, and why?
Who went into the cave? Who? Like, I know Shari was super interested going into the cave. Who was most enthusiastic? I think it was Viv's character.
Yes.
Okay. Mari will give you an experience point for being brave and basically for going probing into the unknown.
Okay. And Reggie?
Reggie thinks that we're all idiots. He's a little bit older, and he thinks we're all idiots for going into a cave at high tide. And so, yeah. I don't know. I don't know who would be most who is most cautious. I guess he thinks we're all morons at the moment.
He's not wrong. What you did was incredibly dangerous.
I mean, it's less dangerous for the water breathers, right? But like for everybody else, it was kind of a silly move.
Would he maybe have been impressed by the person that helped you get out the most?
I mean, so he'll give it to Troy's character for having the wherewithal to get people out of the trance.
Okay, that makes sense. Alrighty. Moving on to Kristen. Your characters. Let's start with the one that was actually there, Henri. Of Henri's teammates, who was Henri most impressed with and would like to award an experience point to?
Definitely gonna be Shari or Shari. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but Ed's character. Basically because they saved their life, basically. Everyone, it was a team effort, but he's looking at whoever really helped make sure that Cork was let loose gets a point.
Very good. And Shari was the one that swam all the way up top and pulled from the other side. And then for Francis and Zara, having heard everyone's stories, who would they like to award their experience points to and why?
So Francis really values people sticking together, like the triplets, and just in general, that kind of attitude. So he would award Troy's character, Mina, for kind of really focusing on getting everyone out of the trance so that they could all get out of there.
Right on. And then Zara?
Yeah, let me see. So Zara just really likes chaotic energy. So after hearing everyone's story and then noticing that Araxie doesn't even care about the fact that potentially people were gonna die, she really vibes with that. So she gives Araxie a point.
All right. So far we're at 2, 1, 2, 3, and 3. I think I'm doing the math right. Alrighty. Tice. Who did Glup find the most helpful in their adventure?
Glup found Henry to be the most helpful with the whole being able to help explore the caves the best.
Right on. And then Elros and Kyleel. Whose stories were they most impressed by?
Kyleel was most impressed by the camaraderie of Kite's characters.
Mina?
Yes.
Okay. And your other one?
They were Elros.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm just looking. I would have to say Ed's character, Shari.
And why?
That they ensured that everyone got out alive and stuff. You know, like not like being disconnected from their home. They like feels what it likes to be like. Felt like being left by themselves, but like they had got instead of like going out and leaving everyone high and dry, they decided to go and make sure everyone was okay.
Okay. Troy. Let's start with Mina. Which of Mina's teammates was Mina most impressed by and would like to award an experience point to?
Okay, let's see. Sorry, I was going back and forth with different people. So I would think it's going to be Henri for being basically being the only other person really affected by this thing as heavily as she was, and also that it was like he spent a lot of time figuring out how everything was working and understanding the cave entrance and all that. So resonates.
That makes sense. And then Kofrik and Chrysosar. Which stories were they most impressed by?
Chrysosar is it's impressed by Glup, right? For his description of it essentially sounded like he was attacking the stone to get it out, and then working and like the ingenuity of working around it.
Excellent. And Kofrik?
And then Kofrik, I believe it would be Shari for the way he's viewing it. Is she was very heroic going out to the other side and then pulling from there and having to deal with a whirlpool.
Excellent. And Vivian. Which of her teammates was Araxie most impressed with? And no, the glowing blue stuff does not count as a teammate.
Well, I'm going to cheat or award experience point to the boss anyway. But I guess the second most impressive there was probably Glup, because Glup both snapped her out of the trance and actually they're like, oh yeah, we probably can't stay here this whole time because Araxie definitely would still be there. So I think that Glup would probably get Araxie's point.
Excellent. And then Nest and Wampy. Whose stories were they most impressed by?
Nest is probably most impressed by Henri, because they were simply put the most responsible involved. And that's what Ness looks at. Wampy is probably most impressed by Shari, who was the only one to actually... I guess Glup also took action, but probably Shari took the most
All right.
even though they probably did think of it as such.
Right on. And that's everyone. So just to review, make sure the math is right here. So Shari got 5 experience points. Henri got 4 experience points. Glup got 4 experience points. Mina got 4 experience points. And Araxie got 3 experience points. And now, with that out of the way, Miss Maybell has come back into the room. And those characters having told their stories, it's now not really safe for them, that story, to be talked about in the presence of the adult. But the other characters have stories of their own little adventures around town that they can share with each other. So, has anyone taken the opportunity to spend experience points? And I hope the answer is yes for everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm gonna say that Troy probably meant to say yes right there.
I did mean to say yes.
Okay, good. I've just got to check. So, yeah, let's have each of those characters just tell a little story about the stuff they learned. Let's go in reverse order from what we just did. So let's start with Vivian. What did Ness learn in his day helping out around the orphanage?
Their day. They learned. Well, they mostly spent most of the day unloading carts and carried stuff back and forth to the kitchen, and they leveled up their vigor.
All right.
And hopefully, they will not just run into trees next time that they're out and about.
That also means they are the first of the characters to have 3 primary aptitudes above 1.
What was that, sorry?
They're the first of the characters here to have 3 primary aptitudes above a 1.
Yes.
Which can prove very helpful having that second die. It's like doubling the stat. Very handy. All right. Troy, what did Chryslisar learn in their day helping the sheriff?
I learned to run around a lot. No, I essentially, right, like he has me just running messages all over the place. And then there was a little bit of time in between, and I was able to do some sword play practice. But I could only use a stick, and I was like fighting a post.
Alrighty. Are you going to tell anyone about the prisoner you saw?
Miss Maybell's here, right?
She is. You could wait until she steps out to do something if you want. You could also wait till nighttime, till people are heading up to bed. Or you can keep it to yourself. But
I guess it doesn't
from a
really hurt
child's
to mention it.
It's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't be able to hold it back, right? So yeah, I'll explain the cell and it floating, or it was hanging, right?
Yeah.
Hanging by something, and there being a person inside and getting shooed away before I could get a better look. There's definitely someone in there, and they're not allowed on the ground.
Cool, cool. Let's see, Tice. Would Elros like to talk for a little bit about what they learned in their time with the smithy?
They learned how to be a bit more physical and stuff. They increased their athletics to 2 and their labor to 1.
All right. let's see. Zara. Would Zara like to share what she learned from the fisherman?
Yeah, so Zara spent the day with Captain Lowenthal, I think,
That's
or
right.
Lowendow,
Yeah.
and basically just spent a bunch of time jumping around on the ship. You know, got a lot better at acrobatics and exploration, and I just am like, I'm thinking she's not going to mention the cut rope just because it was something she noticed, but like not something that was like noteworthy enough to like say something about it to everyone. But yeah, just basically lots of fun roughhousing around on a ship.
All right. Just to give a little insight into how I name characters, Lowendow is because dowel is another word for rod, and a fisherman has a rod that he lowers into the water. It was not a very creative moment, but I like it. It sounds good. Rolls off the tongue.
Nice.
And Ed, would Mari, excitable as she is, like to share about her adventures with the herbalist?
Mari just talks about how she read some books and she talked a lot about magic. She's upgraded her scholarship, and she learned about some mushrooms.
And the herbalist does actually know a lot about magic. She isn't able to use it herself, but she has knowledge of it. Yeah. Very good. All right. And that concludes the day. The children all go to bed, and next week we will wake up and pick from among the various things the children learned today at their jobs what bit of mischief they might get up to. Let me go ahead and stop the recording.